Let Me Die in My Footsteps is a song by the American folk and rock singer Bob Dylan. And it's an unusual song. It came out in 1962. It is a song about how he doesn't want to go into a fallout shelter or into a blast shelter if nuclear war happens. And this is a kind of unintuitive position, the idea that he doesn't want to survive nuclear war, that he would rather die in the attack and be outside than plan to, entomb himself in an attempt to live onward. In the 50s, there were drills in which cities were required to pretend like nuclear war was happening so that the people in them could practice what they would do in that case. So they would have sirens blaring and police and signs, and people would be told to go down into shelters. And there were a significant number of people who did not want to participate in these, that they thought these were ghoulish at best, and at worst, a form of state control propaganda, where they didn't think they were likely to survive a nuclear attack anyway. The early 1960s, when Dylan wrote the song, was a period of extreme international tensions, and the closest the United States probably ever came to nuclear war with the Cuban Missile Crisis. A lot of these anxieties that Americans and even non-Americans have are being expressed as songs, films, novels, and other kinds of popular media.
The Daisy Girl ad was one of the most important presidential election campaign ads in the history of the United States. It came in 1964. It was released by the Johnson campaign, and it was one of the most starkly anti-nuclear, anti-war ads ever run in a presidential election campaign, because Johnson's adversary in the campaign, Goldwater, wanted more nuclear weapons, wanted to threaten nuclear war against the Soviet Union, and wanted a huge military buildup. And so the ad sought to make clear to the American public that the choice in this campaign was about an arms race and possible nuclear war, as advocated by Barry Goldwater, or a form of restraint and finding a way out of the nuclear danger and avoiding war, which is what Johnson offered. And so the ad used an image of a little girl in a very scenic setting to show vulnerability in the nuclear age.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
These are the stakes. To make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other, or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
The Daisy Girl ad came in 1964 in the wake of the Cuban Missile Crisis, where America and the world had come to realize just how dangerous the Cold War was, when it looked like the United States and the Soviet Union were going to go to war over Cuba. And President Kennedy famously said that the risk of nuclear war was profound and that hundreds of millions of people might die. The Daisy Girl ad had an enormous impact in that Johnson did win the election. Goldwater was defeated. And this opened the path to the United States beginning to think about restraint when it came to nuclear weapons. The United States began to talk about the need for nuclear arms control, for dialogue with the Soviet Union about how to reduce the risk of nuclear war, and in particular to reduce the number of nuclear weapons.